Hello, today I'm going to do a buy or beware on the Rare Beauty Weightless Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation and Concealer. I'm pretty sure that's what these are called. It doesn't actually say on the packaging that I can see, but I'm sure you guys have already seen many reviews on this foundation and concealer because it just recently launched. Well, recently is a loose term. It launched at the end of 2020 and it's a brand by Selena Gomez, and she came out with a curated collection of beauty products including liquid lipsticks, regular cream lipsticks, liquid blushes, powder, some primers, and also probably the standout of her brand right now is 48 shades in each the foundation and the concealer. So both the foundation and concealer are supposed to be a medium coverage. The foundation is supposed to be more of a natural finish, and the concealer is supposed to be more of a radiant or brightening finish. So they're not quite the same formulation, and also you can see they're not quite the same hue, even though each shade of the foundation comes with a corresponding concealer shade. The concealer shade is just a tad bit lighter. These are also made supposedly for all skin types, and just for your reference, as we go through the demo, I have a kind of normal combination skin type, although it does lean a little bit more normal these days. The packaging on both of these is nice. It's very simple packaging, almost reminds me a little bit in terms of color way to the Fenty packaging, but the foundation has this sphere on top and the concealer has this almost like little pebble on top, which is nice. It kind of helps you grip onto the bottle a little bit easier. They both come with a doe foot applicator, so the foundation comes with like a relatively big one, and the concealer has a little bit of an angled doe foot applicator with it. And like I said, each of these come in 48 shades, which is great, and in various undertones, which is nice. So they have warm, cool, and neutral. For your reference, I picked up the shade 280N, which is supposed to be a light medium with neutral olive undertones. I don't know if I would necessarily call this a light medium. It seems very medium to me, but it is the one that works best for me. I originally had tried 250W, I think, and it was a little bit light for me, and it also didn't seem as warm as I thought it was going to be. Sephora's website actually does a pretty good job at denoting a description of each of the shades, and they also put that 250W was actually Selena Gomez's shade. It did look like it would be a good match when it dried down. I was looking at a swatch in store because obviously COVID, I wasn't able to try everything on even my hand. I just had to look at swatches they had done on a palette, and it looked like it would be a pretty decent shade match, but by the time I got home and actually tried it on, it was way too light. So 280N was definitely a better shade match for me. Anyway, if you want to hear me chat a little bit more about the product and also apply it and do a wear test, then keep watching. Okay, we're gonna do the application and wear test a little bit differently today. So I will be putting both the foundation concealer as a base. However, all of the accoutrements like blush, bronzer, and highlight and all that kind of stuff, on one half of the face I'll be doing cream products, and on the other I will be doing powder products. Probably except for the eyes, I'll just keep the eyes the same, but cheeks and things like that will be different. And it's just to give you an idea of how cream and powder products wear on the base. Spoiler alert, I haven't had any issues with either. They both applied beautifully over the foundation and concealer, but just for review purposes, we will do this as like a fun little experiment. Okay, zoomed you guys in. This is my skin freshly washed. Well, I wouldn't say freshly washed. I washed it maybe an hour ago, and I just have moisturizer, under eye cream, sunscreen on my skin right now. So it's pretty bare. As you can see, I haven't had any my skin's actually looking really clear. My skin is actually looking really clear right now. I still have kind of my usual dark spots and hyperpigmentation, but in terms of breakouts, I really haven't gotten very many breakouts over the last however many months, which I'm grateful for. And in terms of skin type, you guys know I'm usually combination, but I have to say over the last few months, my skin has definitely normalized a little bit. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but my T-zone is definitely not as oily as it used to be. So if I had to classify my skin right now, as of this moment, it would probably be more normal Slightly combination, but definitely more normal. I am going to put on a primer. I've just been using the Dior Universal Backstage Face and Body Primer. I don't think it's overly exciting. I mean, it works well enough. I don't find that my makeup lasts like extra long with it, but I mean, it is a nice sort of first step before applying a foundation. So I'm going to start with the foundation. So again, I am in the shade 280N, and oh, this is made in Canada. I've just only noticed that now. I wonder if the concealer is made in Canada. Concealer is made in Italy. Weird. You do have to shake this very well. It's a very fluid foundation, so you can hear there's like a little shaker bead in there, and so you just have to make sure it's shaken up really well. I always like to shake things more than I think I need to. I just find that it does perform a little bit better when it's really well shaken up. This also has like that doe foot applicator, which is okay. It's not my favorite, but I do prefer a pump. I have applied this both with a sponge and with a brush, and honestly they both apply beautifully. I do prefer the sponge over the brush typically, but usually I will do a brush first and then I'll just even everything out with a sponge. So there is one layer. I usually just do the one layer. I found that more often than not, if I do add a second layer, it tends to move around a little bit more. So if I do feel like I need that extra coverage in an area, I'll just put the concealer on top rather than 2 layers of the base. So I'm going to put the concealer on now. The concealer and the foundation, much like the Fenty line, they have the same shade names. So if you are 280N in the concealer or the foundation, you're 280N in the concealer. Now I have noticed, even though they're the same shade name, I feel like the concealer is like a hint lighter than the foundation. And I don't know if it's just because, like, you might be able to tell here, this one definitely looks just like a shade darker, maybe like a hint darker than the concealer. And you know, they always say make sure your concealer is like a shade or 2 lighter than your foundation, which I've never really practiced. I actually prefer my concealer to be pretty much like exactly the color of my skin tone. That's just how I prefer my concealer to be. It's supposed to be more brightening if it's a little bit lighter, and maybe that's the case. That's what they kind of wanted to have with the shades here. So just be aware of that. The concealer is a little bit lighter than the foundation. Like, it still works, and it's still the same undertone, but it is just a smidge lighter. So this is how the concealer and the foundation look. In terms of coverage, it's definitely a medium coverage. You can still see like a hint of my hyperpigmentation, my cafe au lait on my skin here, but it definitely has like smoothed out the finish of the skin. And in terms of where set down, it still feels like a little bit like tacky on the skin, and I'm probably getting like a little bit of transfer on my fingertips when I do this. Obviously I haven't set it yet, and I will set it with a little bit of powder. The concealer also is relatively nice. It's not super full coverage. I can still see like a little bit of darkness under the eyes, but again, it just kind of makes everything a little bit more even and brightens it a little bit. I also don't notice it creasing in my under eye creases here, which is good. Sometimes if I put concealer on, you just get like that line of like concealer where it creased, but I haven't experienced that yet with this concealer, which is nice. I will set this foundation on one side just to show you the difference. So I'll set it on the side that I will be using powder products on, which I guess will be this side. I am not much of a baker. I just like to do like a light dusting of powder. And in case you're wondering which one I'm using, it's the Sephora Micro Smooth Baked Face Compact, and this is in medium number 30. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of my face. Okay, this is the finished look. Cream products on this side, powder products on this side, but as you can see, the base still looks really great. Obviously it is, for time reference, 12:30 right now, and I'll do updates like intermittently throughout the day, but yeah, it looks really nice, and it feels great actually. You know, it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. Now that it's dried down a little bit, it doesn't feel as tacky. I can still kind of feel it on the skin, but definitely not as much as before. And in terms of, yeah, how it feels on the skin, I don't feel like I have a full face of makeup on. You know, it's not like a mask. You know, sometimes foundations can seem very mask-like when they're on the skin. Doesn't feel like that. It's definitely a really great everyday foundation, because you get just enough coverage to give your skin a really like revived, fresh look, but it's not full coverage, so it's not super heavy. Depends on obviously what you're looking for. If you are looking for a really heavy full coverage foundation, obviously this isn't the one for you. But if you are looking for just like a really nice lightweight everyday base, then this is one that you could potentially get away with. So just in case you're wondering what's on my face right now, of course I tried to keep it as cohesive as possible, so I kind of tried to pick like the same tone of highlighter and blush on both sides. And the products that kind of gave me this idea were the Fenty bronzers. So you know, they came out with the powder bronzers like last year or maybe the year before, and then earlier this year is when they came out with the cream products. And yeah, so that's kind of what inspired me to do like the half and half face, just so that you can see obviously how both cream and powder work with the foundation. But I happen to have both of these, and they're actually very similar in tone. I'd kind of say the cream product is probably a little bit cooler, but I have Islanting on one side, and then this is number 3 Macchiato on the other. For blush, I have the Ambient Lighting Blush from Hourglass in Radiant Magenta, which is just kind of like this pretty, what would you call this, fuchsia color on this side. And then to mimic it in cream form, I have the Chantecaille Hydrating Gel Cream Blush in Vibrant, which I think this is part of their permanent collection now, so I love that. And then highlighter, I'm using the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Powder Highlight 01 on this side, and then the RMS Living Luminizer on this side. On a side note, I just picked up the Makeup by Mario Master Select Glow highlighter, which is that like clear gel highlighter that he just came out with. His collection just launched like the other day actually, but I don't have anything like this in a powder format, so I didn't want to use it. But I haven't even actually tried this yet, but I'm excited to. I've been looking for a product like this for a while, and yeah, I think I tried one from Milk Makeup, but I didn't like the texture of it or the consistency, so I'm excited to try this one. Anyway, for eyes, I have the Pillow Talk eyeshadow palette from Charlotte Tilbury on my eyes. I used all 4 shades. I haven't busted this palette out in a while, so I was excited to do that. For primer for the eyes, by the way, was the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, and I have the shade Medium. I actually quite like this one. I never really used to like the original, so the untinted one, but for some reason I really like the tinted one. For mascara, I have the Hourglass Unlocked Instant Extensions mascara on the top, and then the Glossier Lash Slick on the bottom. And then lastly, the lip product is the Lip Veil in Baobab from Chantecaille. So I will check in with you guys a few times throughout the day into the evening. Try to get a full like 8 to 9 hour wear out of this. I've only been wearing this base for about an hour now, so it's about 1:45. So obviously it still looks really great and fresh, but I wanted to show you guys how it looks in natural lighting. So I'm sitting in front of a window right now. It's very gloomy, so this is like overcast lighting. And yeah, as you can see, the base looks pretty nice. I don't have any like super dry patches or super oily patches yet. So, you know, it's on normal skin, looks really nice and even. You might be able to hear Chloe in the background. It's like the tail end of her. You might be able to hear Chloe in the background, but she's in the middle of nap time, so I'm trying to get her to resettle herself so she can finish her nap. Yeah, the base looks really nice. The makeup on top looks good, although in the camera I might have put too much blush on. In person it doesn't look so bad, but on camera it looks like a lot. So again, this is the cream side and this is the powder side. I'm actually pretty impressed at my color choices because it looks pretty even on both sides. I also wanted to do a mask test because that's a thing now, just so you guys can see how much transfer ends up on the mask. So this mask I'm using is from Uniqlo. Obviously, if you're wearing any sort of makeup underneath the mask, it will transfer a little bit. But with this foundation, I have worn it on errands where I've been out for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, wearing the mask the entire time. Around the edges of the mask, just particularly the nose bridge. But when I remove the mask, I don't notice like heavy indentations in the foundation. So as you might be able to see, there's like, you know, not a lot of movement in the foundation, but you might be able to see like there's makeup residue on the mask, but just a little bit. So yeah, it wears well under a mask. Just had dinner, but I wanted to do just a quick little check-in on the makeup. So this is obviously artificial lighting, but foundation looks pretty good still. I took my lipstick off. I usually take it off when I'm playing with Chloe just so I don't get lipstick all over her, but I also just had dinner. Yeah, base looks really good. There's no creasing. Under the eye looks actually pretty good also. No creasing. Coverage is good. Yeah, I haven't found that it's worn anywhere. I kind of feel like a little bit of product is kicking in my smile lines, but it's kind of to be expected. I always usually have that no matter what product I'm using. Just kind of pat it back in, not a big deal. And in terms of shine, yeah, I don't actually have too much shine going on. I can feel a little bit of tackiness from the oil, but as you can see, I'm not glistening in any way. So it is, what time is it? 6:30. So it's been about 6 hours since I first applied this product, and still looks good. It is the end of the night now. I am just about to wash my face. It is a little after 9:30 and I figured I would do my last check-in. Okay, you guys are zoomed in so you can see how the base has worn throughout the day. It looks really good still actually. I was wearing glasses for a little bit today, so you might be able to see some indentation around my nose. Other than that, I do have a little bit of creasing, kind of like where my smile lines are, but it's like not, you know, that noticeable. The cheeks still look really good actually, even though it's been a little over 9 hours. My forehead isn't super oily, but again, my T-zone has been leaning more towards normal than oily these last few months. So that's not super surprising. I have like crumbs all over my face from dinner, which I ate well over 3 hours ago. I'm just obviously a messy eater. The base, as you can see, has worn pretty well throughout the day. It still feels very comfortable on the skin actually, very lightweight. Again, you can still kind of see my hyperpigmentation peeking through, but it's still overall like a really nice finish. And yeah, I have no qualms with like how the makeup wore on both sides. So this was the cream side and this is the powder side, and it still actually looks, well, pretty impressive considering I put this on a little over 9 hours ago. So as you can see, the cream side and the powder side wore pretty well throughout the day over this foundation. Again, the only qualms would really be the minor creasing on the smile lines. I can see maybe a little bit of patchiness like right at the tip of my nose, but nothing super noticeable. And yeah, Surprisingly, very minimal, if any, creasing under the eyes. So is the Rare Beauty Foundation Concealer a buy or beware? Let's talk about the pros first. Definitely one of the pros is that it comes in many different shades because everyone has a slightly different skin tone, so the more shades, the better. And with 48, you are more likely to find a shade that suits you well. Both of these products wear well throughout the day with minimal creasing, and I love that they both wear well under cream and also powder products. Lastly, I do love the natural finish, and although it's not a full coverage, it gives me enough coverage where it evens out the skin tone and brightens my complexion. In terms of cons, I don't have a lot because, as you guys saw, it actually wears really well for me and I actually quite enjoy this foundation. My only con would probably be just for people who have a more drier skin type than I do, is that you'll probably either one, want to moisturize really well, two, wear a really hydrating primer, or three, maybe avoid this product altogether because it did hold the oils in my T-zone quite well, which makes me think there's something in there that might be a little bit drying if you do have already a drier skin type. So to answer the question whether this is a buy or beware, if you are looking for a new foundation with a natural finish, not full coverage, but just enough coverage to give your skin a more even complexion, then I would definitely recommend checking out the Rare Beauty Foundation and also concealer. So yes, this is a buy. So that is my review on the Rare Beauty Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation and the Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this review and found it helpful. If you did like this video, then make sure you give it a thumbs up and also subscribe if you have not already. If you have tried this foundation, I would love to know your thoughts, whether it worked for you or whether it didn't. Also, make sure you leave your skin type in the comments below, just so as other people are maybe reading the comments and are trying to decide whether this foundation is for them, they can get a little better picture of what will work and what doesn't. Also, let me know in the comments what products you would like to see in a future buy or beware episode. And I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a very merry, happy new year, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.